Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever heard someone talk about the power of mantras or positive affirmations and kind of thought to yourself, yeah, right, that sounds nice, but is it real? It's a super common feeling. There's a lot of skepticism out there about whether our words can actually have a real physical impact on the world. Well, today, we're going to dive right into that. You've probably heard a saying like this before: tamarins don't fall for mantras. It's a pretty common argument people use. The idea is, you can't just chant a few words and expect a piece of fruit to magically drop from a tree. And honestly, on the surface, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? But what if that simple argument is missing the bigger picture? What if there's a much more subtle, and maybe even a scientifically observable, effect that our words have on the world around us, and maybe even inside of us? Let's take a look. Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. Let's talk about the work of a Japanese author named Dr. Masaru Emoto. He conducted this incredible experiment to answer a really simple but powerful question. Can our words and intentions physically change the structure of water? The way he set it up was just beautifully simple. He took 2 glasses of water, exactly the same. For a whole month, one glass was spoken to with really positive, loving words and praise. The other glass, well, it got the opposite treatment. It was basically subjected to scolding and a lot of negative language. So, after a month of this, how did he check to see if anything had actually happened? This is the cool part. He froze samples from both glasses of water and then used microscopic photography to look at their crystal structures. So this wasn't about a vibe or a feeling. It was about trying to observe a real physical change. And the results were absolutely stunning. The water that had been exposed to all those positive words formed these beautiful, symmetrical, well-formed crystals. They looked just like perfect snowflakes. But the water that got all the negativity, its molecular structure was just a mess. It was spoiled, chaotic, and broken. The experiment really suggests that the vibrations from the words had a direct and very visible impact. So, a cool science experiment for sure. But what in the world does this have to do with us? This is where this whole idea goes from being in a laboratory to being in our actual everyday lives. Right. How does water in a glass connect to you and me? Well, it turns out there's a massive, and I mean massive, link. And here it is. The human body is, on average, about 70% water. Just let that sink in for a second. 70%. So the really big question becomes, if words can do that to the water in a glass, what are our words and our thoughts doing to the water inside our very own bodies? This brings us to the core concept behind this whole phenomenon. It's all about the power of vibrations. It's the idea that everything we say and even everything we think creates an energy, a sort of ripple that starts inside us and moves outward. So, what do we really mean by vibration? Think of it as the energy that's carried by our words and our thoughts. The whole idea is that this energy is constantly interacting with and shaping both our internal world, how we feel, and our external world, what we experience. You can think of this whole process as a powerful chain reaction. It all starts with your words. They generate these vibrations. Then, those vibrations begin to influence your thoughts. Over time, those consistent thoughts start to change your personality. And ultimately, it's your personality that transforms your environment and how you experience your life. And this all leads to a really crucial point. You can have all the goals and dreams in the world, but if the energy you're actually putting out there, your vibration, is negative or out of alignment, you're pretty much working against yourself. The idea here is that the universe responds to the energy you're broadcasting, not just the wishes you're holding in your head. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually use this? How do we take this idea and put it into practice in a way that actually makes a difference? The big takeaway here is actually very straightforward. If you want to achieve your goals, the most important work you can do, the foundation for everything else, is to work on the energy you're creating. It all starts with managing your vibrations. And let's be really clear about something. This doesn't mean you have to run out and learn some ancient, complex mantra. Unless you want to, of course. The simple truth is that you can start right now with the everyday words you use. Instead of defaulting to criticism or negativity, just make a conscious choice to speak good, positive, constructive words, both to yourself and to others. That's the real starting point. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Based on the words you've used today and the thoughts you've had running through your mind,
what kind of vibrations are you creating right now? And maybe more importantly, are they building the reality you truly want?